What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys have a good day so far. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the free login champion Skeletor, and I'm going to give you guys the hard truth about this champion. It's the second go around for this champion. He is part of the He-Man and Skeletor Master of the Universe collab. The first time we've seen this champion along with He-Man was about 18 months ago, and like I said, this is the second go around for Skeletor. He did get a rebalance this time around. I'm going to give you guys the quick pros and cons for this champion, but trust me, there are mostly cons for this champion. So some of these things might be new to you guys. Some of them might be old news. I wanted to make sure I get this video out to you guys right away, so you guys have all the information you guys have available for you before you start making any decisions on this champion or committing to this champion. So first up, let's start with the good things about Skeletor here. So for newer players or progressing players, he does bring a accuracy in all battles aura. This is going to be very helpful for players that are just missing, stat thresholds or stat requirements for certain areas of the game. On top of this, he does have a passive here that can make gearing him out a little bit easier because he does boost accuracy on himself, and he does apply this decreased resistance, which can help out your entire team in terms of accuracy requirement. So areas that kind of stand out that require higher than normal accuracy would be areas like Chimera. He also brings a team-wide increased accuracy buff here on a 3-turn cooldown. This is somewhat of a reasonable ability, although the turn meter pushback, depending what kind of enemies you're facing, might not do anything. We much rather prefer a team turn meter boost as opposed to a enemy turn meter pushback. But a champion with a accuracy aura, with a increased accuracy, with a decreased resistance could be useful, again, for some players or some team comps that are lacking accuracy. So he can definitely help out a little bit in that area. Now, the other very, very good thing about Skeletor is that, first of all, he's a free champion. So free champion, you can try to extract some value from this champion or the mechanics around him being free. So first of all, we have this Skeletor rush or Skeletor chase. What I'm doing with him is that I'm going to save this champion until we get access to another champion chase, and then I'll summon him for another 500 points in that chase. If you guys want to know how I am able to hold off collecting him, you guys can click on this video here. But the other good thing about this Skeletor chase and the free login program or the system here is that you do get access to his 5-star soul. I highly recommend going for these 5-star souls, especially if you are a new player. If you're a brand new player in this game, a 5-star blessed legendary champion does go a long way. First of all, it gives you a boatload of stats, which is really important, especially if you want to use the champion. But let's say the champion's total garbage like Skeletor, and you have very limited use for him, but you're still a new player. How many 5-star blessed legendary champions do you have? Probably not many, probably none at all. So having a champion like Skeletor with the 5-star blessing does give you access to something really important and does add something else that makes him a little bit more useful, and that's going to be the 5-star Brimstone blessing, guys. So with Brimstone at 5 stars, it does give you a protected smite. This smite debuff is going to give you a lot of damage against bosses. This is really, really important for brand new players, especially when you're struggling to get good gear, especially when you're struggling to deal big damage. The smite debuff, it's like a falling meteor from space or something. But basically, this is really, really powerful. And getting this blessing for him gives him an additional use case, which he otherwise would not have. And your roster potentially does not have either. So that's really important. So make sure you guys grab the 5-star blessing for Skeletor, but you guys should also be grabbing the 5-star blessing for any login champion that we get offered. It's just boost the value of the champion significantly. Skeletor here, no different. Make sure you guys grab the 5-star blessing for him. Lastly, in terms of the positives here for Skeletor is that he is part of the Night Revenant faction. And like I said, this is the second go around for Skeletor. So you potentially could have 2 copies of Skeletor, which will give you the Faction Guardian bonus here. So Faction Guardian, you guys might get an extra, bit of stats for your Night Revenants by collecting the second Skeletor. I haven't collected my Skeletor yet. Otherwise, I would be getting +10 speed on all my Night Revenants. We'll be getting that eventually. but that's a huge boost to the faction. And also, he's just going to be not too bad in faction wars, especially with a 5-star blessing on him. Is going to give him access to, like I said, brimstones, give him some additional damage. It's a protected smite. And Skeletor does offer a little bit of crowd control with the petrification, single target. The decreased attack could be useful against the boss in faction wars also. The A1 here does have the ability to remove, like, for example, Valkyrie counterattack wave of counterattack shields and counterattack buffs. And his A3 does have the ability to remove some of those very nasty buffs. So Skeletor can be useful, especially for a newer progressing player to help you through faction wars. All right, let's jump into the stinky stuff here for Skeletor. We went over the pros. He's kind of like an accuracy helper a little bit for your team, for your roster, for your account a little bit. Gives you access to maybe higher level difficulties for dungeons or bosses because of his decreased resistance, his accuracy boost and stuff, and his accuracy aura. But a big negative, I'm going to start here with the big negative here for Skeletor, and it's this decreased resistance that only has a chance to be placed. So if you had a team that relied on having low accuracy, but you're bringing the team into fighting a stage that required high accuracy, you really require this decreased resistance to land, but it's only a 50% chance. And it's only when he's hit. If you're getting hit a lot, more often than not, you're probably outgeared for the content. And if you're already outgeared for the content and you still rely on 50% chance to decrease resistance to bring up your accuracy so that you can actually do something in that level, this is huge over reliance on RNG and just overall makes him not very reliable. Another thing that makes him not very reliable is this petrification. This petrification buff was added to his kit, which makes him actually a bit more viable because this petrification is kind of passive. So he can be locked out or whatever and still be useful. But this 25% chance is absolute BS. It's total BS. It also requires him to lose 30% of his HP from one attack. He has good amounts of base HP, 21k. So having him hit for 30% means that he's getting hit for a pretty significant amount. And then you only have this tiny 25% chance. It's so bad. So you have to rely on these little bits of RNG to make him really good. And it's just so bad. It's not necessary for this level of champion. We've seen these kind of mechanics before in other champions, but 25% just feels too low. Let's talk a little bit about the A2 here. Now, petrification on champion is going to be very strong. This is only a single target ability with all the effects happening to a single target. Now, this makes it not very strong. And frankly, you probably just expect a little bit more from a legendary champion. For example, if Skeletor applied decreased attack and decreased speed for all enemies and then petrified one character, that would be significantly better. Then this guy would actually, be viable in areas like Hydra. You can place decreased speed or decreased attack on all Hydras. But in this case, it's only a single target. It's just not enough utility for this ability. Obviously, petrification is supposed to be used against, waves or arena, but this ability is just not going to cut it here. And we briefly touched upon the A3 about how the decreased enemy turn meter is just not as good as a team ally turn meter boost. The decrease all allies turn meter won't come into effect if the enemy has, for example, Stone Skin or Mercurial. And it also still requires accuracy, and Marius exists. So if you're playing against an enemy Marius and you're pushing back his turn meter, Marius is going to make you pay a little bit. So this ability definitely feels a little bit lackluster also. And I think the biggest warning alert for this champion, especially for newer or progressing players, if you feel like investing in this champion, the biggest negative about him is that the amount of books that he requires is pretty significant. So you got 4 here, you got 5 here, and then you got another 4 here. So that makes a total of 13 books. 13 books for a it's got to be bottom tier level legendary with very niche abilities, niche use abilities also. Like we're talking faction wars, that's about it for this champion. So you're talking 13 books here is definitely not worth 13 books, guys. And even if he is somehow the best champion on your brand new account, I would save those books for another champion, even if that champion is not coming for another month, 2 months, 3 months, I would save those books for another champion so that you don't have to be scrambling for books when you pull a legendary champion that's actually worth your time. Skeletor is just not worth your time, guys. And I hope you guys haven't booked him out, because that's probably the biggest trap in all this, is that Plarium is giving us a free champion that requires all these books, because you don't want to be sitting there with 75% chance to land things, and you don't want to be playing around with five turn cooldowns. So this is just not a usable champion without books. But of course, with the 5-star Brimstone, perhaps you can use him just for his Brimstone, just for his A1, just for Brimstone, and whatever value these 5-turn abilities bring you. But I think ultimately this is a kind of like a shiny new champion for players, to entice them to spend their books, the hard-to-earn resources, on a champion that won't age well on your account, and you probably won't get too much value from him. So that's probably the biggest warning here for Skeletor and for players that are just jumping into the game. Anyways, folks, that's going to be it for this video. I don't want to be too overly negative in this video. I don't want to be too overly negative about Skeletor. He is a free champion. We are getting the 5-star soul for him if you complete those quests in phase 2. So there are definitely advantages. And of course, like I said, he's a limited time champion. But I have to give my honest feedback on this champion. He's absolutely not worth your time. And I think if you committed to him, I think that's a bit of sunk cost, because you're not going to get a lot of value from this guy. But yeah, anyways, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Skeletor. Do you guys use Skeletor at all? Do you guys think I missed something in this video? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you guys quickly hop on by this giveaway video right here and enter yourself in today, or check out some of my other videos here. Thanks for watching, guys, until the end. Appreciate your time. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.